organized ones where you can all be here, but this is another spontaneous one, and this is taking us to complete the power of sovereign choice. So I feel this has been hanging on me a little bit because I've started it and then it took some time until I actually got to the second part. And sometimes it's like that. But anyhow, today we are continuing, and you can obviously watch it as you wish at your own leisure. So if you go to the first video, you understand what is actually the power of sovereign choice, how we get there, what is holding us back. And I have identified 6 of the common holdbacks. And today we are looking at why would you want to shift it? Why would you want to get rid of the holdbacks? And what difference does it make? And how can you? So first of all, like always, let us start with the flute. So maybe you have watched, hopefully you have watched the first part. And if you haven't, maybe this is a good opportunity to do it before. So you have a better idea what the holdbacks are. In any case, you could just listen now to the flute and allow yourself to find within what is actually holding you back from being in that power of sovereign choice, that you really can make that choice that is true to you. So let us just tune in and find out why you want to shift and what it is that you want to shift. So I hope you have a little idea what it can be for you, what it is, one of those holdbacks that really limiting your power of sovereign choice. And when you have found that, then how can you actually shift it? Well, there's always many different ways. There's techniques, there's therapies, there is whatever you are looking for. But really, to shift one of the holdbacks, one of the best ways is to release it. And sometimes the holdbacks are sitting really heavy on our physical, in our emotional and mental body. So, yes, most of the time you actually need help from somebody else. And in that, you will have quite a lot of choices that can come to you. But the most important thing is really that you want it and you are ready. Because if not, you can do whatever you want, it will not make a difference. There is no fix, there is only a shift, a letting go. And whatever you choose to let go or to shift involves you, you within. You could have a million treatments, you could do a million things, but if you are not really ready within and don't want that power of sovereign choice or whatever it may be, it will actually never work because the answer is not on the outside, the answer is within. So be really sure that you actually want that power of sovereign choice. Be really sure that you want to release these holdbacks that set you apart from the choices you could make in the world. Why do you feel this is so important? This power of sovereign choice, because you can actually live in integrity. You can actually be who you really are. How would that be? And I know that most of us try to do our best most of the time. And this is maybe the first part of healing that we're all going through about our parents. When we feel things were unfair and really tough, well, parents are usually trying the best that they can. And so do you. So the more you are free of influences and free of holdbacks, the more you are able to make the choices you really want to make. The sovereign choice doesn't mean it is something, and we talk about this in the first video, I do recall that now, that you're making choices that are only good for you. No. Sometimes you are really of service to others, but you're not compromising yourself in that. You are being true and real. And that is sovereign choice. So, what is it? Release, rewire, letting go. Some of the things you can do, and in the embodiment, some of the things may be similar simply because the moment of shift is not all. The moment of shift simply takes you in a kind of free space. But if you continue doing what you have been doing in the past, guess what? Yes, it's all coming back to you. So if I go off sugar for 3 months and then come back, same thing like before. If I stop watching TV for a year and I go back, it's the same as before. So it is really important to not only do something as a detox, if that is what you're after, for a certain time. Either you really say goodbye to something because it holds you back from being the true you, or you better don't do a detox, because if you're doing the same thing anyway later on, what you're doing it for? You can also go on very interesting journeys. You can do regressions and soul retrievals, and there's a whole lot of really, really good techniques. You can do forgiveness on Ho'oponopono. There's really, really good technologies and techniques that can help to release these holdbacks. But it could be only temporary if you are not ready and willing to do the second part. What you feel after a release, a clearing, letting go, is you feel lighter. The question is then, you want to continuously feeling that light or not? Yes, most of these holdbacks do require an initial clearing. And maybe that be a regression, a soul retrieval, a treatment, a therapy, whatever you want to call it. And then comes really the most important thing, that you embody it and keep it in your life. So, really, how you are releasing and letting go of these holdbacks, it doesn't matter how. Some people take plant medicine, ayahuasca, and whatever, but if you don't integrate it, if you don't bring that new lightness into your life, it doesn't really help. And your power of sovereign choice may not last very long. We must remember that this physical existence in this humanness and the body that we have is all a series of experience. And experiences have a beginning and an end. But your infinite self within is infinite. So, in a way, in order to keep connected to that power of sovereign choice, your consciousness, your infinite self, the infinite possibilities and all, you need to continue doing something. So you have always new experiences. It's also important that experiences are never the same. You cannot go back to the same thing as you had yesterday, or even maybe a couple of minutes ago, because by the time you come back, it will have already changed, and so have you. So it's important to come to a space of lightness and release and letting go, but it's also important to stay there. The power of sovereign choice, like any kind of desirable state of being, even enlightenment, is not just one point of release and feeling free and light. It is then an embodiment of a praxis, and it's a conviction how we choose to live it. So, yes, there is a lot of self help that can assist us in that release, in that shift. Of course, you can start meditation and yoga. You can do 21 days of changing your mindset. You can do a lot of self inquiry in meditation. There is so many different choices, but the most important part to keep it is the embodiment. So, when we come to that part, then we need to be aware that it's not easy. It's not easy. You all have blissful moments. You are all going through amazing times in your life. But for most of us, when something comes, duress, pain, situations, it is not easy to stay there. So to stay there, it actually takes that embodiment, bringing it actually into that physical body, that power of sovereign choice, or whatever you're after. This is what we're after at this time. So once you feel that lightness, don't just stay there and imagine now I live in La La Land and nothing is ever going to happen to me again. No, life is not like that. So, what are the most important things in order to stay there and take the possibilities of embodying that power of choice? It's not that you're losing that connectedness to yourself, it is that you are, when you are not doing it all the time and cultivating it, you don't feel it. You lose the connection, but you don't lose the power of sovereign choice. So, one of the most important things to really keep it and stay there is presentness. Now, if you listen to Eckhart Tolle and many other beautiful teachers, they all talk about that. Presence is one of the most important things. Now, we have three words here: we have presence, we have present, and we have presentness. So, I'm going away from the grammar, if you forgive me. Presence is, in a way, the state, it's a noun. Then you have being present in that moment. And the presentness allows you to really act in that moment. It becomes a characteristic of who you are in that space and time. So, cultivating presentness is one of the most powerful embodiment tools, if you wish. It helps you to stay alert, and it really helps you to recognize what is going on. It helps you to take yourself away from a situation that is only an illusion and a reflection of different perceptions. So, for the ego, for the mass consciousness, and even for light addictions, if I call it that way, the presentness will actually help you. So, when you're thinking of your ego coming in and bringing you some fear and some trying to control you, when you're fully present, you know that this is that. You know that this is not really your power of choice, because your power of sovereign choice would not control you and would not make you fearful. So, in that presentness, you can actually choose and say, "Ah, I see you. Thank you very much. I have actually passed it." Similar, it would work on the pain body as it is, in a way, the emotional side of our ego. So, recognizing, thank you thank you for coming my way, but thank you because I keep the connection here. I stay in that presentness. I choose not to take things personal, and I choose not to make assumptions, and I just choose to continue to be light. So that is really a powerful, powerful tool to embody your power of choice and to recognize the holdbacks that can come to you. Mass consciousness is similar in a way because it's the consciousness of all trauma and all that kind of stuff. For a long time, I used to talk about the circus and the monkey that is not mine. If that suits you, many people are using that. If you find something else that is exciting to you, to recognize this is not yours, then use it. Mass consciousness can often put us in a very heavy place and far away from our own choice. And before you know, you are reacting to something that is really not even yours. We are not here to change other people. They have their own perceptions, they have their own ways of being. And maybe they can't see you, maybe they can't appreciate you. And that's okay. You don't have to pretend that everybody sees who you truly are. So when this reality of someone else is entering you and that mass consciousness that they may be carrying, it's not your circus, it's not your monkeys. And so when you stay in that presentness, you recognize it. You don't become defensive, you don't get upset, you don't get angry. Maybe you just smile. And maybe you develop compassion in that process. It's all very possible, along with love. Because, yes, people try to do their best in whatever situation they are. And it's important that you continue to be in your power of sovereign choice. You can't do that for other people. As I said, with light addictions, it's very similar. If I start wanting to have sweet stuff all the time, then yes, with presentness, I can say no. I can recognize and say, oops, maybe I'm a little bit under duress. Maybe I'm a little bit stressed. So my body is craving for sweet stuff. And I can regulate it that way. If you have, however, other and heavier kind of addictions, I would refer you to an expert to work with that. The lighter addictions, again, you can also work with the detox on a long run, really saying, okay, I stop watching news. I stop doing X, Y, and Z. If you do an exception, then be very conscious and make sure you enjoy it fully. I'm talking mainly about food and eats. Okay. So the other thing that you can help staying within the pain body was the next part. It's also that vigilance and the four agreements. Miguel Ruiz has really done a wonderful job. And if you live by that four agreements and even the fifth, I promise you that's one of the most beautiful embodiments to recognize when ego and mass consciousness and pain body come in. And you can really take that power to choose what is truly yours. Separation is a similar one as well. And here it is also important that we just recognize that separation in general is an illusion. It's easy to feel separated. It's easy to feel misunderstood. It's easy to feel it's that humans choosing to categorize and separate and categorize and separate, to divide and to judge and all this kind of stuff. But really, it doesn't exist. And sometimes you may choose not to be part of something. So separation is not being misunderstood, is not being discriminated against. Separation is only something that is practiced in this world. It's a hold back from you still standing in your power, from you still making your sovereign choices each time. It doesn't have to be that way. And I can't promise you that you never feel separation again in your life. But if you have that presentness and that ability to see behind it and beyond what is appearing in front of you, and you can actually see the oneness in separation, it's not bothering you that much anymore. Of course, that separation, and I'm imagining, yeah, and you are watching and you feel discriminated. You feel really judged. And that's also a form of separation, of course. It takes a lot of clearing. It takes a lot of, I want to call it healing now, to actually get to a point where you really know that you are not being discriminated against. Although people may act that way, but it's not the truth, because separation truly does not exist. It exists in the way humans choose to interact, but it's not true. So I know that this one can be very tricky for some of you, but don't let it stop your power of sovereign choice. It may show up in your world, but don't let it stop you, because your choice is still here. And you don't have to follow that, like you don't have to follow many other things. All kind of thinking, negative thinking, rational, linear, car crashing. Yeah, you might really want to work with gratitude journals. You may want to learn to see beauty. Gratitude is a magic medicine. You don't repeat for 21 days. You recognize that actually that whole limitation of thinking and negativity doesn't exist. It is just part of that unconscious soup that is swimming around us. And you have that power of choosing. It doesn't mean that you live in positive la la land. It doesn't mean that. But it means that you actually have the choice to see the beauty in all. Yes, walking in nature, looking at leaves, looking at trees, looking at animals, looking at the beauty is helping us, because it clears the mind from what makes it heavy and dense. And the more we think negatively, the more we think linear and rational, the more problems we see. When we are thinking in gratitude, it's very important that we, in a way, change the mind. And this is not something that just disappears overnight, one clearing, one beautiful healing. No, this will take time. Negative self talk and doubt is something that comes very easy. And maybe it never goes away. But when you are ready to look at the beauty, when you are ready to be grateful for what is around you, then it can really become so much better. And you will notice that also you're in a better state of being. So instead of me being negative, that there's hardly anybody here, I can be positive that I have an opportunity to deliver the second part of this power to sovereign choice. And then I have the opportunity to reach you if you are here now or if you replay it. Actually, it's the same thing. It's about being grateful, it's about seeing the beauty in whatever you endeavor. And that brings us actually onto the last holdback and how to embody the lack of imagination. Well, for me, the best way to embody that is actually meditation and also spending time doing nothing. Now, in nature, I am very creative and imaginative. When I was a child, I wasn't so happy about that because I was often judged for that. But I have since spent a lot of time to go back into my imagination. We have maybe all experienced time where our teachers were dream stealers and our parents stopped us and said, ah, you're just daydreaming and this is all illusions. But this is what they felt. This is or was their truth at that time. So through meditation and just doing nothing, your imagination can come back and do something that you really love, that is creative. Sing and dance, paint, do whatever makes your heart sing, and you know that you have stepped back into your imagination. Or just go through nature and enjoy all the wonders that you can see there. So, what does it take to go beyond a temporary and maybe perceived fix of holdbacks? It is going within. You can release the holdbacks, you can temporarily feel light, but in order to live it, you have to stay in that power of sovereign choice. I'm not promising you that your life will be so much easier after that, but it will be much lighter. And you will be more in integrity with yourself. And I can also assure you that it makes more happy because you are no longer trying to more of a true self on a beautiful journey. So, to help you to embody, let's go back to the flutes and just imagine what it is like when you're living in your power of sovereign choice, in love and compassion, in peace, and whatever is important to you. So I hope the flute helped you a little bit to find your way to embody the power of sovereign choice, if this is what you're aspiring. And if you have worked with one holdback, why don't you try another one? And why don't you find the help that you need on this journey? I'll be here, and there's many people here to be part of your journey, to source from within, to find that consciousness within, and that power of sovereign choice and many other things. Yes, it is this time to shift and to embody a whole new consciousness and a whole new life that is available to all of us. So, if you like this and if you have stayed until here, thank you so much. I also appreciate if you subscribe, because this is somehow a way of knowing that we are growing together, we are supporting each other. And there will be another life that is kind of promoted, for the lack of a better word. And this will be one where they really look at the comments and will engage and communicate with you to truly see what is happening for you. So if this resonates with you and if we can see each other on Saturday, that would be wonderful. For today, thank you so much.